Hello everyone, my name is Arjun and you're watching me in my channel Oodagam, which says for Tamil Media. Full disclosure, there's going to be some spoilers if you have already watched the movie Ponniyin Selvan. We are going to talk about the death of Aditha Karikalan. Who killed Aditha Karikalan? Now, you might ask me, Arjun, how do you know what happened like 1100 years ago? Aditha Karikalan's death happened in the 9th century AD. How do you know all of it? Now, I'm going to give you concrete evidences and solid proofs, and I'm going to back up all my claims with stone inscriptions and copperplate inscriptions that are found in Tamil Nadu, and we are going to find out who killed Aditha Karikalan and what happened after his death. Now, I have to thank someone before I start this video. His name is Kudavail Balasubramaniam. He is a stalwart and he is an encyclopedia of the Chola history, and he comes from Thamzihar, the heartland of the Cholas. My name is Arjun and I was born, brought up and raised in the heartland of the Cholas. Just like Mr. Kudavail, I was born in Thanjavur too. I've lived in Thanjavur till 2004, and then I moved to US, and it's been like 15 years since I've been living in the US. Now, before we go into this video, I would like to warn you that whatever conventional notion that you have about history, that this sect of people is going to do this job, this sect of people is going to do this job, is going to be completely shattered once you study about Aditha Karikalan's death and Tamil's history. Tamil's history is a little different from the rest of India's history, and I'll give you my reasons why. Once you watch this video, you know that I actually call a spade as a spade, and I was not exaggerating. Now, the death of Aditha Karikalan, this particular video is going to be split into 4 episodes. Episode 1, we are going to talk about the death of Veerapandya, the Pandyan king who died. Episode 2 is going to be the death of Aditha Karikalan, the crown prince of the Cholas. And there's going to be a surprising episode, which I'm not going to name now. And what happened after the death of, or aftermath of Aditha Karikalan's death. That's what we are going to analyze. And with stone inscriptions and copperplate inscriptions, we are going to know what exactly happened. Now let's go to episode 1. Death of the Pandyan king Veerapandya. Now, when one of the greatest historians of Tamil Nadu, Neelakanta Sastri, he started reading stone inscriptions and copperplate inscriptions, and he started writing the Chola's history. He looked at one particular stone inscription which says that Aditha Karikalan, who took the head of the Pandyan king Veerapandya. He thought that the Cholas are exaggerating. They are probably trying to glorify that Aditha Karikalan severed the Veerapandyan's head. So, according to Neelakanta Sastri, Veerapandyan could have died in a warfare, but fighting against Aditha Karikalan, but Aditha Karikalan did not sever his head. That's what Neelakanta Sastri thought. But after Neelakanta Sastri's period, we got some copperplate inscriptions from Esalam, a place in Tamil Nadu, where it clearly mentioned what exactly happened in his death. Now, I'm going to give you the book name, and so that you can read and find it about yourself what exactly happened. The book name is Archaeological Finds in South India, Esalam Bronze and Copper Plates by R. Nagasamy, page number 14. Now, if you look at that particular page number 14 in the book that I just mentioned, there is a Sanskrit slogan. Now, before we say what are the copper plates are nothing but leaf. I mean, they have multiple leaves, and where there is information written on it, and it contains a huge ring binding all the plates together, and there will be the emblem of the Cholas, where it will have the tiger, the sitting tiger, the 2 fish, which is for the Pandyas, and then the bow and arrow for the Cheras. This is how a copper plate will be. And they are very grand in nature, and it contains a lot of information too. So the particular information that we are going to talk about, the death of Veerapandya, is in page 14, which is a Sanskrit slogan, right? It clearly mentions what exactly happened. Aditha Karikalan, he killed Veerapandyan, severed his head, put it in a spear, and kept it outside the Tanjore palace. Not the palace that we currently have. This was not built by the Tamils. The palace that was built by the Cholas in the 9th century AD. Now, as soon as I read it, I know that something was off, because this is such a brutal act that this is against the war rules. When the Cholas and Pandyas and Cheras fought, they had war rules and they followed it, and they never deviated from the war rules. This is a delta, a deviation, an aberration from what happened. So, I was thinking in my mind, something is not right with this particular death. Now, we have completed episode 0, which is the death of the Pandyan king, and we have a copperplate inscription for it. Now, let's go to episode 2, the death of Aditha Karikalan. Now, where is this information available? This information is available in Epigraphia Indica, volume number 21, pages 165 to 170. This particular inscription is a stone inscription which is found in Udayargudi temple in Chidambaram Taluk in Tamil Nadu. Even now, if you go to the temple, you will find there are stone inscriptions there. Now, for people from outside of Tamil Nadu, you might not understand this, but when the Cholas, Pandyas and Cheras built temples, they actually had stone inscription where they documented the history of what exactly happened, who donated how much money, or any historical significance event was recorded on the stone inscription, so that you will be able to look at it and find out. When Rajaraja Cholan, the greatest emperor, built Rajarajacharam or the big temple, if you go into that particular temple, you will find there are stone inscriptions everywhere. It has the highest collection of Tamil inscriptions anywhere in the world. Now, this particular temple, Udayargudi, contains this inscription, and that is what is provided in Epigraphia Indica, page 165 to 170. It clearly mentions who are the people who are involved in the killing of Aditha Karikalan, the crown prince, and where did they all reside, right? Now, when Neelakanta Sastri read it, he gave all the information. Now let's look at the first two credible evidences of who these killers are. The first credible evidence is the place where they resided. The name of the place where they resided is called as Parpanacheri. Now what is Parpanacheri? Parpanar is a name that is given to Tamil Brahmins. Cheri is a place where people live together, right? Now, Cheri has a negative connotation in 2022, but that doesn't mean it's going to be the same connotation. It's going to be used in the same negative connotation in the 9th century. In the 9th century, it's a place where people live together, right? So, the Brahmins, Tamil Brahmins who live together in that particular place, it's called as Parpanacheri. We know that this is a place where Brahmins lived. Now, let's look at the names. The first name of the killer is Soman. Now, this inscription is slightly damaged, so we don't know his last name, right? So, the second killer's name is Ravidasan alias Panchavan Brahmadi Rajan. Now, we don't use Iyengar or any caste names, right? I mean, these came after 15th century when Tamils were colonized. Before that, we always use honorary titles, and you look at the honorary titles and you will be able to tell whether he is a Brahmin or he belongs to a different society, right? So, second name which clearly mentions it is Ravidasan alias Panchavan. Panchavan is a name that is given to the Pandyas. Brahmadi Rajan clearly mentioned that this guy is a Tamil Brahmin by birth. You have to understand something. These are not the Sivacharyas or the Vaishnava Acharyas who are in the temple. These are warriors. They are warriors by birth. We will get into that later, right? Who are these killers? Why did they kill him, right? The third name is Parameswaran alias Irumudi Chola Brahmadi Rajan. The name is Parameswaran and his alias name is Irumudi Chola. Irumudi Chola is a name that is given to Chola government officials, right? So he's a Chola official, and Brahmadi Rajan is the third one. It clearly mentioned that he is a Brahmin by birth. Looking at these two names, the first name Soman, Kudavail Balasubramanian, the inscriptionologist, he clearly mentioned that Soman should be a Brahmin by birth. It's clearly mentioned in the Epigraphia Indica. If you have any doubts about it, you can go and read about it, right? So the four brothers are the killers of Aditha Karikalan. Now there is a special mention in which they clearly mention that these four killers are traitors. You have to understand, when the Cholas recorded something, they had absolute precision and they had absolute accuracy in putting everything in the stone inscription. So why are they calling them as traitors? You don't call someone as a traitor if he's a stranger to you, right? I mean, if a stranger comes and kills, you're not going to call them as a traitor. But someone who's very close to you, someone who has been living with you for a while, and if they do something harm to you, then you call them as a traitor. So these four Brahmin brothers were very close to Aditha Karikalan. I have a feeling that they are the bodyguards of him. They actually killed him. Now, you have to understand something. This particular stone inscription is not about the penalty that was given to the killers. But this is where Neelakanta Sastri went wrong. Neelakanta Sastri looked at this inscription and he looked at the names and he looked at where they lived and he thought, okay, this particular inscription was written by Rajaraja Cholan's time, and Rajaraja Cholan asked his officials to write it. So he thought Rajaraja Cholan was punishing his brother's killers. So all these killers were punished by Rajaraja Cholan. But that is not the truth. The truth is something else. So basically what happened was, this is a transfer of estate from one person to another. What happened was, as soon as the killers killed Aditha Karikalan, they fled Chola country. Even now that is what happens. Killers don't live in the same place. They flee and they go to some other place, right? They fled the country. They went into a particular place in the Chera, right? Chera region. Now what happened was, the kith and kin of the killers, their lands were confiscated. Now this should have happened before Rajaraja Cholan's time, which means his uncle Uttama Cholan, when he was the king, he actually confiscated all the lands. But when Neelakanta Sastri read this inscription, he thought that this was a penalty that was given by Rajaraja Cholan to his brother's killers, and he thought maybe Uttama Cholan might have had a hand in Aditha Karikalan's death. This was a theory by him, but that was not the truth. As soon as he came out with this theory, Kalki thought about it and he thought, okay, let me write a story about it, and he actually wrote a fiction which is Ponniyin Selvan 1. So Ponniyin Selvan is 97% fiction and 3% truth, and the 3% truth is Aditha Karikalan's death. Now, what happened after this, right? So after Aditha Karikalan's death, there was commotion everywhere. The Chola people were really confused. The crown prince of the Cholas, the eldest son of Thundara Cholan, died in the hands of 4 Brahmin brothers in close quarters. So something must have happened, right? So as soon as Arunmozhi Cholan came to know about this, he was very fed up. And Sundara Cholan, because he lost his son, he also died due to grief, right? Now let me stop here. We all know that Aditha Karikalan is killed now, right? Now, why did Aditha Karikalan? Now, Aditha Karikalan was killed by the Pandyas because they wanted to take revenge on Veera Pandya's death. Now, when we looked at Veera Pandya's death, we thought that, this was an aberration, right? Aditha Karikalan did a brutal act. So, why did Aditha Karikalan did that brutal act? That was my question. I knew that something was off, so I went in search of stone inscriptions which could answer my answer and find out if there is a particular reason why Aditha Karikalan was instigated to do like that. That is where episode 0 comes into picture now. Now this is episode 0 and we are going to talk about a mysterious death of a mysterious Chola prince. Now in episode 0, I'm going to give you a stone inscription, and let's look at the stone inscription and see what is written there. So it talks about this particular inscription is kept by Veera Pandya. Now Veera Pandya was the one who was killed by Aditha Karikalan and his head was taken off. This particular inscription number is AR number 162 of 1894 and AR number 163 of 1894. Now this particular stone inscription is kept in a temple in Tirunelveli, and it clearly starts, it's a stone inscription that was kept by Veera Pandya. It clearly mentions that I am Veera Pandyan, I took the head of a Chola prince. Now I know why Aditha Karikalan killed Veera Pandyan. Aditha Karikalan had so much of hatred for Veera Pandyan. His heart was filled with rage and vengeance that he wanted to avenge the death of a Chola prince who died earlier, and that is why Aditha Karikalan did not kill Veera Pandyan. He took his head and kept it in a spear. Now, who is this Chola prince that was killed by Veera Pandyan? It's an act of revenge. It was full of vengeance. Aditha Karikalan was full of vengeance. When he was a very young age, he went to war. At the very young age of 13 or 14, he went to war, and he has been fighting in wars for a very long time. So his heart was filled with rage because he knew about the stone inscription that one of his family members was killed and her head was taken away by Veera Pandyan. So who is this Chola prince? Now let's go back and look at history. So Aditha Karikalan, his father is Sundara Cholan. His father is Arinjaya Cholan. We know that Arinjaya Cholan died in a battlefield. Arinjaya Cholan had 3 brothers. First brother Rajajittan died in a battlefield, and we know that information. Second brother Kandradittan, he died because of age. We know that. Now the fourth brother Uttamasili must have died in the hands of Veera Pandya, and Veera Pandya took his head and kept it in as a stone inscription. This act instigated Aditha Karikalan, and he actually sought revenge and he got his revenge. So this is why Aditha Karikalan, so this is how it worked, right? Uttamasili was killed by Veera Pandyan. Veera Pandyan was killed by Aditha Karikalan. Aditha Karikalan was killed by close quarters by the Brahmin brothers who were from Pandya region, right? This is exactly why it happened. Now, let's go into episode 4, aftermath of Aditha Karikalan's death. Now, what happened after Aditha Karikalan's death? I was telling you that there was so much commotion in the Chola kingdom. People were thinking that, okay, the crown prince has died. Now what is going to happen to the Cholas, right? You have to understand, this has never happened in the history of the Cholas, that a crown prince has died in close quarters. How do we know that he did not die in a battlefield? How do we know that Aditha Karikalan did not die in a battlefield? The Cholas, the Pandyas, the Cheras, they all consider it an honor to die in battlefield, and whether they win or whether they lost, they didn't care about it. If they died in a battlefield, there would be a stone inscription which says, he died in this battlefield and he had an honorable death, right? But when it comes to Aditha Karikalan, this is what is written in the stone inscription. Aditha Karikalan did not want to live in this earth, so he left us to heaven. That is what is written, which means that his death did not happen in a war place or a war field, but it happened and he was murdered by these brothers. So, after he died, his father, Sundara Cholan, grieved to death, right? Now, everybody in the Chola kingdom wanted Rajaraja Cholan to be the king. His name was Arunmozhi, and once he became the king, they gave him the name Rajaraja Cholan. But Rajaraja Cholan said, let me think about it, right? He knew in the order of ascension, his uncle had priority over him. His uncle Uttama Cholan had priority over him. Tiruvalangad copper plates clearly mentions that almost all the Chola people, even Uttama Cholan's mother, wanted Arunmozhi alias Rajaraja Cholan to be the king. But Rajaraja Cholan did this. He went to his uncle and he said, uncle, I know that you want to be a king. Just go ahead and be the king. I'll serve under you. That is why Tamil people revere Rajaraja Cholan even now, even after 1000 years. This is the integrity and the earnestness that Tamils have, and he exhibited it at the correct history, and he exhibited it at the perfect time in history. He said to his uncle, take care of this kingdom. I will not bother you. I'll be under you. So Rajaraja Cholan became a Yuvaraj under Uttama Cholan and served under him for 15 years. From 970 till 985, it was Uttama Cholan's reign. After Uttama Cholan's time, Rajaraja Cholan became the king of the Cholas in 985. Now, as soon as he became king, as soon as he became the king of the Cholas, Rajaraja Cholan, he sent a messenger to a place in Kerala where he knew his brother's killers are hiding. Where is this place in Kerala? This is a place where Adani is building his port now, Virinjam. There is a place called as Kandalur Salai. Now, what does a Salai mean? Right? Oh, I mean, you said that the killers are Brahmin. How is this even possible? I'm telling you, Tamil Brahmins have been warriors. They have been warriors by birth. There's so many inscription which says that, and that is why he said your conventional history is going to be shattered when you read about this article, or when you read about these killings, right? Aditha Karikalan's death. So he sent a messenger, and he knew his brother's killers are hiding there. But you know what happened? They arrested the messenger and kept him. Now all hells broke loose. Rajaraja Cholan never wanted to go to war. He actually wanted the killers to come to him so that they will be punished, right? And it didn't happen. So there is a song in Vikrama Cholanula in which he mentions that the Chola army went to Kandalur Salai as quickly as possible, destroying all the forests, and they went and they had a huge war there. Now how do we know this? How do we know there was a war that happened? Now Rajaraja Cholan is a trendsetter when it comes to the Cholas. He had something called as Mei Kirti in Tamil. What is Mei Kirti? True fame. So what he did was, when he became the king, he actually wrote, it is like a poem where it says, whatever countries were under his administration, it would be in the poem. You can go and read the poems on what you can find out, okay, these are the countries that were under his administration. And it starts like this, Thirumagal pola perunala chelvim thanake urimai pundamai manakola Kandalur Chalai kalam arutharuli. I destroyed Kandalur Chalai. That is what is mentioned in the poems. So we knew that Rajaraja Cholan punished his killers. And you know who is Rajaraja Cholan's lieutenant, by the way? His name is Krishnan Raman Mummudi Chola Brahmarayan, who again is a Brahmin by birth. I'm telling you, Tamil's history is completely different. Rajaraja Cholan had so much trust on Krishnan Raman that he took him with him to that expedition, and they made sure that the people who killed his brothers were punished. Not only Rajaraja Cholan, his grandson Rajadirajan also had the same war. I mean, he also went there and avenged the defeat. Not only his grandson, but his great-grandson Klothunga Cholan also went there and avenged Aditha Karikalan's death. For the next 100 years, the Cholas went there and raided that place and avenged Aditha Karikalan's death. We are very vengeful. I mean, people understand that, right? So this is how exactly it happened in history. Now, what happened after the Kandalur Chalai war? Now, you have to understand, the reason I consider Rajaraja Cholan as a great person is because, as a great leader, is because he did not profile. He did not profile people saying that, oh, my brother was killed by Brahmins, let's destroy all the Brahmins. He never did it, right? What he did was something spectacular. He went all the way, he got two Kashmiri Pandits. One, Isana Siva Pandidar, and the next one is Sarva Siva Pandidar. Now, with those political counsel and with his able administration, he took Tamils to the epitome of glory, to the pinnacle of glory. We had such a great time. The golden age of the Tamils is the reign of Rajaraja Cholan and Rajendra Cholan. That is it. There is no doubt about it, right? So this is what exactly happened is episode 4, the aftermath of Aditha Karikalan's death. Now, Arjun, why do we need to read about history that happened, in the 9th century AD? What are we going to learn about it? History teaches us a lot of things. There is a pattern. There is a pattern to everything. History repeats itself, right? So only when you read history, you know where we were having the glorious times and where we went down, right? The constant fighting between the Tamil kings, the Cholas and Pandyas in particular, weakened the Tamil nation. After 1279, the Cholas were done. After 1279 AD, there were no more Cholas. Now, the Pandyas ruled, but they were very weak because of the constant fighting amongst us, right? And after 1500, Tamil Nadu was colonized by outsiders, and those were the dark ages of Tamils for 230 years, from 1520 to 1750. The British came and actually saved us. That is the truth. The British actually came and saved Tamil people. Although they killed scores of Tamil peoples, the British actually saved us. And for people who are hearing it from outside Tamil Nadu, or you might not be able to understand, but I know what exactly I'm talking about, right? So always remember this: when you have a fight with your brother, don't involve an outsider. The moment you involve an outsider, they will try to come inside, capitalize on the situation, and they will take it to their advantage. So it is for, this is same for your house, and it is the same for a country as in India, right? When we have differences amongst ourselves, we should try to solve it amicably amongst ourselves and never involve an outsider. If you like this video and if you think that I gave concrete evidences to each and every information possible, then please like and subscribe my video. I'm going to release more videos talking about the Cholas and their administration and about the Pandyas and the Tamil history in general. Thanks a lot.